Welcome to Save As Ability, a podcast to educate and inform you about disability employment issues. My name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Save As Ability. We've been getting a great response, and if you could please help us by liking, subscribing, sharing above all really helps our channel grow so we can keep great content flowing for you. So as you know, October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So we're spending some time this morning with a great guest, Kathryn Kerrigan. Welcome in, Kathryn.
Thank you, David. Wonderful to be here. Thank you.
And Kathryn is the founder and is it CEO or president of Encourage Resources, and Encourage Works. We've done some work together, and really I appreciate what you're doing for the neurodiversity community and people with disabilities that have neurodiversity. And I know you have great programs focused on neurodiversity in the workplace. So I'll turn it over to you and let's talk about neurodiversity here in October, National Disability Employment Awareness Month.
Yeah, this is such a great month, very near and dear to our hearts. We have a wonderful organization that specifically works with organizations who are interested in bringing in neurodiverse talent. So really looking at cognitive differences in the workplace and what that looks like. We have, what's interesting is that we really focus on cognitive, brain function. So if you take a single brain, about 11 million bits of sensory information comes in per second into your brain. However, the conscious brain can really only process about 40 to 50 bits per second. So you look at that and some may think it's a bottleneck, some think it's a funnel, but we really see, those 40 to 50 bits are really about what's important to that person and what's important for survival. So looking at all of those cognitive differences, whether someone has autism, Asperger's, ADD, et cetera, we look at that and we say, okay, well, the workplace has traditionally been based around conformity. So how do you take neurological and cognitive differences and put them in a team and put them in a more conformed environment? So we have a really great program. It's called NeuroShift. And it's less about inclusion and it's more about optimization. So we look at, we leverage everything from neuroscience, AI, various life experiences. And we have a great, really good training program for organizations. And it's really focused on team cognition. So we do a lot of color mapping based on cognitive differences, whether you're neurodiverse or not. And what that does, it really brings an overall uplift into the organization. And most of us know all of these statistics, but with 20% of the American population somewhere in a neurodiverse state, 80% of those are either unemployed, underemployed, or have never been employed. Yet when they feel supported in a work environment, that team, it has an overall uplift, about 30% creativity. And when those neurodiverse employees feel very protected and safe, they have an 80 to 90% retention rate. So you look at that, and that's so powerful for various businesses. And what's really great is that you have large organizations such as Microsoft, SAP, Chase, Ernst & Young, who are major players in America's economy. And they're leading the charge. For the last 10 years, they've had really great neurodiversity at work programs. And that just inspires the small businesses and the mom and pops to really follow suit.
It's such a spectrum of individuals, right? And if you've seen 1 million people with neurodiversity, well, then you've seen 1 million separate individuals with neurodiversity, right? And so like with Isabella, as everybody knows here, my daughter Isabella, and Kathryn's met Isabella, from, that part of the spectrum all the way up to the very high functioning that, brilliant computer programmers that tend to really like things that fall into neurodiversity. So talk a little bit about some of the technology, because you have another organization as well where, you were an early pioneer in some web technologies and e-commerce and things like that. And the kind of the best practices that you found in those areas that I think probably helped you start Encourage, right?
Absolutely. So about 20 plus years ago, I started one of the first .com footwear companies. And at the time, Amazon was only selling books. I decided to go rogue and start selling women's shoes. And since I've been in technology, right now I own an AI company. So I've been very entrepreneurial. But with technology, what I found is that a lot of our computer engineers, software engineers, data scientists, their spurts of creativity came differently. So some may had been having spurts of creativity from midnight until 6 a.m., right? And for me, it's more important to get great work and to make sure that they feel comfortable, because when you feel comfortable and you know what you're doing, you're off to the races. So I really looked at that and had a lot of patience for, maybe taking breaks or having different structured hours of the day, or even if they needed
All reasonable accommodations.
Exactly. And I think that's what, going back to our traditionally conformative workspaces, that's what I've learned, whether it's unique types of technology, hours of the day, what they need. Oftentimes, I've had a lot of computer engineers and just, really intelligent architects say, don't send me my tasks via email. I need 5 minutes on one-to-one FaceTime with you to fully make sure that I understand the material. And I said, easy, right? Or, when we're in a work environment in a true office, headphones or being closer to a window, because oftentimes those who are neurodiverse, there may be smell, sound, various, noise, just different sensory issues that impact.
Sure, sensory issues, social situations, all hallmarks of neurodiversity. Yeah.
And there was.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, it all comes down to being able to accommodate the person. And I'm glad you brought up intelligence, because the more and more research that comes out and the more you look into it, it really has nothing to do with intelligence, right? So people can be genius level, but have these social challenges or other, like, as you indicated, sensory challenges that, then rise to the level of being neurodiverse and having a intellectual disability, maybe even, right?
Right, exactly. And I often, when we go in and we offer training to a lot of our organizations and companies, something I always say is, you may have a golden ticket of talent, but they just may not want to chill at the water cooler and talk about what they did over the weekend. And that's okay, right? So, this sense of conformity, and just because you're not at the cafeteria and talking about the latest Netflix episode doesn't mean, that's not a negative. And it's really celebrating the differences and making it positive, and understanding that the way you think is so different than the way I think. And if you put those two together, you could create some of the most magical things on earth, right? Whether it's business or creativity or, writing a book, et cetera. So it's really great. And it's really fun to look at bias data and how that harms neurodiverse talent, and just using bias breaker toolkits, which we teach a lot in our curriculum.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Tell us a little bit about Encourage as we start to get ready to conclude here, because we want to make sure we're getting your program out there so that organizations can take advantage and contact you to bring you in, much like we're trying to do with Archangel Communications.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's really about NeuroShift. That's our trademarked curriculum. And it's all about an experience. So we start with what we call a cognitive kaleidoscope, and we look at cognitive color mapping throughout the whole team. And then we are able to understand the differences between diversity, divergence, disruption, et cetera. Then we really go in and we use AI algorithms and accessibility to really look at, like I said, the bias breaker toolkit, et cetera. And then we work on gamified collaboration labs. So we put teams into real-time situations. We look at conflict resolution, sensory overwhelm, innovation bias, we call it. And then we really go into neuroscience leadership. So we look at leaders and looking how the brain can support learning, empathy, decision-making, et cetera. And then we go into strategy activation, which is really just how does it play out in the workplace. And oftentimes we found that, every business is looking at an ROI. So innovation potential we've seen it increase by 25%. We've reduced team friction and miscommunication by about 40%, which is huge because time is money. And constantly improving retention of neurodivergent talent by about 60%. So that's what we've done with some of our clients. And then we walk away and give them a neuro-inclusive action plan. And so that's the short and sweet of it.
Well, that's good news for people with disabilities, people with neurodiversity. So, we appreciate what you're doing. We're trying to do the same thing. I know we've given some things together and we'll continue to do so. So
yes,
we appreciate you and what you're doing. What's
that?
Be
encouraged with a button a day.
Be encouraged. That's right. We did buttons for you.
Yes. We love
Isabella. Yeah, we love doing that. So, well, Kathryn Kerrigan, it's great. Thank you for what you're doing for people with disabilities and people with neurodiversity. So we appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
And thanks everybody for, go ahead.
Appreciate you as well. This is great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you everybody for joining us today. It's David Darkangelo, another episode of Save Visibility. And if you could help us out by liking, subscribing, sharing, that continues great content flowing for you. So until next time, I hope you have a great day.
For more information about disability employment issues, please visit our website, disabilityemploymentsolutions.com. The Save As Ability podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel at Disability Policy Expert, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your ratings and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by Pod Pro Entertainment. Save As Ability lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. #TheNewRadio. Again, my name is David Darkangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Until next time. Thank you. I hope you have a great day.